Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool record player video for you this evening. Now, normally on our channel, we do arcade game, jukebox, and pinball repair videos. But here on the weekends lately, we've been doing a series we call Amateur Repair Time. Because all this stuff, I don't know what I'm doing. I am an amateur. So if you only want to watch the videos about arcade games, pinball machines, or jukeboxes, you can drop out now and I'll see you in a couple days. But here on the weekends, like I said, we've been doing some weird stuff. So we did a video a while back where we fixed a couple Fisher-Price record players. And I've got all kinds of stuff like that. I've got a bunch of old radios and clocks, and we've been doing all kinds of cool repair stuff. Look, I've been displaying more of them. And I just love this old stuff. Now, when I was a kid, I had a record player, but I didn't have one like this. I had one of the, I was born in 78. So this may actually be older. It probably is. It's older than I am. But whenever I was a kid, we always had some of those ones that had they were all in one unit. So they had the big plastic lid on the top. That was always the stuff that I ended up with. But I did have a record player. I can remember whenever I was about 10 having one. And we would go to the thrift store. Our stepmom would take us to the thrift store about daily, and we'd pick up 45 records and stuff. And I was kind of the only one that cared anything about it, but I really liked them. But I didn't even know these existed. Like these little portable record players, I had no clue they existed. So in this video, we'll work on this one first, and if we get this one going, we'll work on that one. How's that sound? So this is a Lafayette. I picked this up at an auction with a bunch of records, pretty inexpensive. So I think it was about 20 bucks, but there were probably, I don't know, I can't remember, maybe 100 records with it, something like that. And if you don't know, in our shop, we sell records just as kind of a little side thing. Nothing expensive or anything like that, but we have a little area of our store with a bunch of 33 and a third RPM records. And that's kind of cool. But we don't really sell record players or anything. But like I said, when I was a kid, we always had one. Let's see what this thing has going on. Oh, I should say too, when I went and picked these up a few minutes ago, I thought, you know what, I want to do another video on some record players. I was in the mood to listen to a record player. I thought I would count how many record players I own. Now, the last time we did this, I had those two that we fixed. I counted then, and I had 27 record players. 27. But that's counting all kinds of stuff. Like, that's a record player and a radio. And that's a record player and a radio. I think both of those are Philcos. And then I got some like this. And then I've got a few that do have the plastic lid. I've got an RCA that you plug into a radio. And these things, they just pop up cheap. Like this was 20 bucks with a bunch of records. And so I started counting just a few minutes ago to see how many I had. Last time I counted, I had 27. Okay. So I went around and I counted, and now I've got 32. So somehow I ended up with even more. It's probably because I bought them. So I'm trying to weed it down, but I'm going the wrong way. So I don't know. So this one, I think if I can fix it, I'll sell it at the shop. If you don't know, we have a video game store, and we sell arcade games and jukeboxes and pinball machines, and we repair arcade games and jukeboxes and pinball machines. And yeah, so I can sell stuff in the store. We got plenty of room. We can put stuff around. So I can put one of these in the display cabinet or something and sell it. So I need to thin out some of the ones I got. I don't really need 32 of them, and I don't think any of them work. Okay. So I started thinking, when was the last time I bought one? How am I getting more of them? And then I remembered I bought one Saturday. I was at the flea market, and they had this cool old one that looks like it was in a library because it says it right on it. And so I see it sitting there. You know, it's like this, except nicer. It's nicer than this. So it's sitting there. And I walk up and I go, hey, how much your record player? Now, remember, I got 31 of them. But I didn't know at the time that I had 31. It was a fact that I had 31. But at the time, I was thinking, I've got 4 or 5. You know, in my head, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I've already got 4 or 5 record players. I don't really need another one, but that's a cool one. I really like it. And the guy had the top open on it, and it had like there was like yellow rubber on the turntable. And I thought that was really cool, right? So this is like one out of a library or something. Definitely out of library because they wrote it on it. And so I go, how much on your record player? And the guy goes, I'll take $5. $5. Here, I'll show you the record player that I bought for $5. This one was $5. I said, I'll take it. I got to have it. And then I put it on a stack with a bunch of other ones. But it was $5, people. I mean, if I didn't buy it, something might happen to it. Look, folks, $5 won't even buy you a bottle of ketchup. $5 is nothing. You can barely buy a bottle of Grey Poupon for $5. $5 is cheap. You can't even get like 6 slices of bread for $5. For $5, I had to buy it. That's cheap. So come on, people. I had to buy it. Now that's cheap. $5. So that's how I keep getting more. So let's see what this one is. Like I said, it's a Lafayette. It looks pretty cheap to me, but I like all this kind of stuff. So I didn't get to see these the first go around. When I was a kid, I didn't know these existed like this. So the sticker's coming off a little bit. It's a little dusty. It has a tone, which they say goes from bass to treble. And it has an off and a volume that goes to max. Goes up to 11 probably. Ooh, let's see what it goes to. So that's 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah, it goes to 10. So they were, you know, they were normies. Okay, so let's see if the top comes off. Let me put this other one on the floor. We'll get back to this one. Oh, it's still intact. Don't worry. Lafayette portable phonograph. Never heard of it except when I bought it. So you know what I think I'm gonna do is we're gonna give it a plug and give it a whirl. Now you might say, oh, you're supposed to bring it up slow and all this. Look, somebody's already plugged this thing in. I bought it in an auction. If it hadn't been plugged in 30 years, yeah, maybe you should bring it up slow. Plus, it's worth like $3. Now, I'm not going to sell it for $3. I just said that's what it's worth. 33, 45, 78, and neutral. Now, you know there's no way they left that in neutral all those years, because that would be the correct way to do it. So I always watch Radio TV Phono Nut. He's great. This is his type of thing. He probably wouldn't even mess with this thing because it's just junk. He'd be comparing it to a Crosley Cruiser. And he says that you should leave it in neutral when you store it because that keeps the idler wheel from getting a dent in it. So I'll bet they didn't do that, though. That's been put in neutral by me when I bought it or somebody. All right. And then when I bought it, I noticed this. The spring thing, I don't like that. But I think that is how it's made. I don't think it's messed up. We got a wire hanging here. A little cheap clip to hold it in place. The tone arm is completely plastic. Got quite a kink there. And just a little cheap, I guess, needle setup. Who knows if she'll work? So I know how we can find out though. Let's turn her on. So here we go. Are you ready? Let's see if anything blows up. I have crackliness, or I did, and I hear a motor. 33. Let me count. Yep, that's correct. 45. Slightly faster, which is probably right. 78. Very fast. So far, so good. Now, I've got this thing cranked up. If I touch that needle, we ought to get something. Uh-oh. Let's try that again. Nothing. Okay, that might be the speaker. See if you hear anything. I don't hear any amplification, so we might have a dead cartridge, if you can call that a cartridge. Is that just natural amplification? Okay, I guess we'll put a record on it just to make sure, but I don't believe it's amplifying. All right, so we're going to play an obscure 45, and it's probably not going to amplify it, which means we may be able to get away with not being demonetized. I don't know, man. Look at this. You know that wire's going to hang down and hit it, but we'll see. Well, let's try it. Wow. Hell, we might be able to fix this. You hear that? So that's just the cartridge. Wow. It's trying to amplify it. So we may be able to repair it without having to buy a new needle. Look at the angle of this. That don't look right, but it's cheap, folks. Okay, and we can do something about that red wire. Okay, forget about the dough and think about me, she says. Okay, at the risk of getting demonetized, I'm gonna flip it over so you can hear the cooker. Here comes the cooker. Okay, so this part of the video we might have to cut out. So if it just disappears, you know what happened. Pretty dirty, it might not play. Pretty cool. Talking about some talent now. And by the way, when I was a kid, in the 80s, that was what I was listening to, that kind of stuff. That's the good stuff, people. All right, let's tear it apart. So how did you take it apart? Look at this. It's very similar to the Fisher Price ones that we just had to do on the other one. Look at that. So there's two on each side, and then there's two on the other side. But these are exposed, so worst case, you could just grab them with a pair of pliers. So let me see if I can get all four of them out. All right, so after you get the screws out, it just lifts right up out of this box. Now, this box is basically cardboard. But, I mean, it's a good-looking little box, but I'm sure that was pretty inexpensive to make. But I like it, and it's in good shape. There's a date stamped in it, August 22nd, 1978. So this was just after the king had left us. about a year later. All right, so let me set that on the floor and we'll mess with the actual box. I mean the actual player. So I've just turned it down. I have that latched in its place. Hopefully that'll keep it from messing up. This back, it has either broken loose or it just never was together, but it doesn't matter because when it's put in the box, that's up against something. So as you can imagine, as cheap as they can get it. So the power wire, the power cord, which I have unplugged, comes in and is just with wire, I always forget what they call those. It's just tied to two other wires. So this one black wire runs over here to the motor, straight to the motor. So one runs straight to the motor. The other runs up here to the switch part of the volume knob. So this would be the other side of the switch. So it's to the brown. Now they have left all these wires really long too, which is fine because of the way the thing's made. So basically, whenever you turn it on, all you are doing is providing power to this part of the motor. TPB maybe 211, 120 volts. So it's running off of wall voltage. And then here, 12. So what that probably means is that's a secondary winding that provides 12 volts. So that's the two yellow wires. So they come out. One is joined into another yellow wire. And the other one is joined into another yellow wire. So that both of them run up to there. So you're getting your juice on the board there. Now it says made in Korea. Let me see if I can get that to come off or if it's held on by the knobs and it won't move, or let me see what I can do, because I would like to get to the other side of that where we can see it and then recap it and see if that gets us some volume. Oh, and that board has two wires that are also very long going over here to this speaker. So we'll also measure this speaker, this 16 ohm speaker, this 0.35 amp, 1/3 of an amp, 16 ohm speaker. So we'll check that too, see if it's blown or something. All right, I was able to get the two knobs off and then take the two nuts off, take the tape off, take the tape off of here, and we got plenty of room. Okay, so it could be the volume knob, but probably not. But there's definitely some stickiness going on there. I'd love to get, oh yeah, we got room down here. So we'll spray some contact cleaner. There we go. Down in there and work it back and forth, and that ought to get us much better on that. So we have a bunch of transistors. So we've got a cap here, but it's probably fine. We've got 4 resistors there. There's 2 transistors, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 transistors and 2 electrolytic caps. On the last one, we replaced some electrolytic caps, and that didn't fix the freaking thing. We'll also spray some cleaner in this tone pot. Let me get a multimeter, and I'm going to check these transistors to see if any of them appear shorted or what. If one bad transistor would cause all of those problems. So let me see what I can figure out. All right, so I got this old Fluke meter. I've been testing just to see if these, I never had one of these really old ones like this. Well, so I think I got it there where you can see it a little bit. If I don't knock it over, we're going to attempt to test these transistors. So there's a little diode here, right where the power comes in. And on this old meter, .77. Usually you want them to be between 0.4 and 0.7, but the meter might be off. Or, and then going the other way, it's basically open. So that makes sense. That's about how it should be. God, I don't have a good way to. So that's that one. We have this cap here. I don't know if that's glue or if that's electrolyte that is leaked out. If that's electrolyte, this is just the filter cap though. You wouldn't think that it would make it do what it's doing, but maybe. So you've got all of this, it looks like there's like a liquid or something all over the board. So that could be the electrolyte or whatever that leaked out of here. Or it could be like some kind of glue they sprayed on it. I don't know. Kind of looks like it leaked to me. So swapping that cap might do it for us. Let's test some of these transistors on our same diode test. Whoa. You know, you can't really test them well with just a meter. You kind of need to run voltage through them. So I don't know that this is going to tell us anything. That's kind of high. Usually you should be between 0.4 or so and 0.7. But my probes are good. Okay, so that's that one. It seems iffy. All right. I don't think that's the problem. And then we have a good old two-legged one, otherwise known as a diode. Same thing, kind of seems high, you know. But I don't completely trust this meter because it's an old meter. And we also have the complete possibility that I don't know what I'm doing with that old meter. But yeah, that's just a two-leg one. Here's a three-leg one. Was I just hearing noise? Yeah, the meter is powering the speaker. 0.9, 0.9. Either all of our transistors are bad or our meter is bad. Or I guess they could just, the earlier transistors didn't have the same type of voltage drop. If I can, 0.984. Yep, that was it, right? Yeah, it doesn't work the same as a more modern meter, that's for sure. But I don't know for sure, you know. So I'm getting a bunch of transistors that are barely out of tolerance. But am I going to have 4 different transistors barely out of tolerance? No, it's more likely that either old transistors, that's how they test, or old fluke meters, that's how they test. Or the meter's bad. Okay, so the 1, 2, 3, 4. There was one other one. This bad boy up here. Now notice I'm just trying to go from what I assume is the base to the collector and the emitter. And see, so I'm assuming the middle leg is the base, but who knows? But if I go from there to here, which would be either the collector or the emitter, I'm getting 0.9. If I go there from the base to the other collector or emitter, I get a similar reading. if you reverse the probe, so now you got the red on the base, and you go to black, it's open. And then you go to the other leg, it's open. Normally, that would signify a good transistor if that number wasn't 0.9. If that number was 0.7 or 0.6 or 0.5 or 0.4, you'd be going, oh, yep, that one's good, that one's good, that one's good. But even that's not perfect, because a lot of times, even if you, I forgot this is supposed to be amateur repair time. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. So I would guess that these caps might fix me up, because I don't know. These transistors seem fine to me. They're all measuring high, but I think it's my meter probe, or my meter, I mean. So I'm gonna spray some juice in here, and then we'll see if that alone fixes it. I don't think it will, but we'll just see. And then we'll replace these two caps. This one's a 470 microfarad 16 volt, and this one is a 100 UF'er 16 volt. At the shop, I've got tons of those. Here, I have none of those, or I might. Let me look around. But yeah, so I'm gonna spray some contact cleaner inside these two pots just to see if that does anything at all for us. All right, so all I did was spray contact cleaner in here. Let me show you a little closer this cap so you can see what I'm talking about. You see all the residue on the board? Now, whenever you touch it, none of it comes off on your finger or anything, but what is that? That's got to be that cap leaking. So what would the filter electrolytic cause to happen, right? So you can see it's kind of ugly. So that's what we got going on there. But with that said, we're all the way down. So, you know, I think that may have fixed it. Let's keep testing it. So the bass and treble doesn't do much. It just cuts it all the way off, the treble off, when you get down low. So I don't know, that may be as good as it ever was, who knows? But I think the next step is we need to replace those two caps and see if that does anything for us. All right, so I replaced the one that was the 100 UF, and it is connected to the tone, it's connected to the tone control, but I don't know that it changed anything. So I'll give you an idea of what shape it was in. I don't know if that's leaked or if that's glue. I don't know. I guess it's leaked, but... So on the previous ones that we did, the little Fisher-Price ones, replacing these didn't help. And I don't know that this one's done anything, okay? Maybe it is a little better, the tone adjustment is a little more drastic, maybe. That's all the way on bass. So I think it is a more gradual change, so maybe. All right, so I'm going to do the filter one now. All right, so here is the filter capacitor. Again, not sure if it leaked or if that's just some kind of glue. So why would they put glue? Well, because these stick up off the board a little bit. So you might put glue on it so that they don't break off. So I've seen that on arcade monitors. On like Wells Gardner monitors, a lot of times they did have glue on them, and then the glue, after it gets old, turns conductive. That's real fun. So I don't think it helped it any. I think it just, but it sounds decent for what it is right now, right? That's as loud as it'll go, though, so. Okay, so I'm going to turn the record over, and we'll play a little bit of it, and they may completely demonetize it, and I have to cut it out of the video, but we'll take our chances. So I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's playing Pop 45s pretty good by the incomparable Dusty Springfield from the 60s. But will it play country music? I know that's what you were all thinking. Of course it will. Ray Price, if you don't know, God, you've been missing out, people. You got to get with some Ray Price. I don't think this one will be as loud because this is probably, you know, late 70s. But you're about to hear something different. If it'll play it over YouTube. There's not nowhere near as much volume on these.
I'm watching the clock tick the hours away. They say that I must
I can mess with the tone a little bit, but if you get a little bass in it.
But why should I fear death, for its life anew? For dying only takes me much nearer to you.
You're basically just cutting the treble out. You're not really adding bass. But remember, there's a 0.35 watt speaker in it. So you ain't gonna get much, people. Sounds good for what it is, though. All right, folks. So it sounds pretty good. I watched the video back. YouTube's cutting a bunch of it out, but you get the point. And it sounds trebly because I've got it up on treble because that's giving me more volume. If you turn it to bass, it just cuts the treble away and your volume goes away too. So I think that's just how it's designed. You saw how simple the amp was. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below. The second one, I've been working on it too, but it's more involved. There's some problems. So we'll make that a separate video. So this one doesn't get too long in the tooth. But hey, now I have one that works, and there's one at the shop that works. So I've got two working record players, but I don't have a really good one yet. So I'm gonna have to keep messing. I don't know. These ones in these old Philcos probably aren't very. They probably don't sound too good. We'll have to find something else. But we'll find something else cool to work on for the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. And we'd like to thank everybody that's been buying the t-shirts that we mentioned in the video, the Missile Command video. We sold a whole bunch of them. We're almost out. We've got some sizes left, though. So if you'd like one of those, make sure to get in touch with us. Just email us, and we're just shipping them out ourselves. Silk screened t-shirts as seen in the Missile Command video. We've got some more on the way, though, if we are out of your size. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. And last but not least, don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. If you don't know about my brother Donnie, you've really been missing out. My brother Donnie has his own channel here on YouTube. The link is down below. You can check it out as well. I'm over there with him a lot of times. We work on arcade games, jukeboxes, and pinball machines usually on this channel, and an odd record player from time to time. My brother Donnie works on old vehicles, old buildings, things like that. A fun time is had by all over on his channel. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't heard Mr. Ray Price, that's one of those records that people, you see something like that in a record collection or in a bin and you just go right by it because you know maybe you're not into that. But if you actually listen to it, it's really good stuff. So some of you know. So we'll see you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. And this has been another Amateur Repair Time video.